this video I'm going to show you how to produce the following effects sound. This is sort of a Fowler effect, something you might hear in trance track. So here we go. Okay, let me bring up the sound map. This is a basic pitch Fowler with additional LFO for more interest. The LFO causes pitch to alternate between low and high pitches, while the envelope causes the overall pitch to sweep down. So what's happening is this is a single oscillator with a single triangle wave, and there's an LFO and an envelope modulating the pitch on oscillator 1, or in the case of Zebra 2, the tune control. And envelope 2 causes the overall sweep down effect to occur, and then the LFO causes the alternating low and high pitch effect to occur, and it's synced at 1/16 notes. So envelope 2 has 0 attack, max decay, sustain at 0, and max release. So in this case, with the max decay and sustain at 0, that causes the pitch to go down versus the opposite when you have a riser effect. And then that flows, the output of oscillator 1 flows into the amplifier, which is volume is modulated by envelope 1 with medium attack, 0 decay, sustain at 100%, and a medium release. And then that goes into a delay. And for this delay, I'm using a rather long delay sync times. So the left is actually 2 bars and the right is 1/2. Lots of feedback and crossback to get the sound bouncing around. And then that flows into a reverb with approximately a 2-second reverb tail just to add some ambience to the sound. And then that goes into the main output. Okay, let's build this patch. Okay, I'm starting with the initialized patch, so let me play that real quick. So pretty standard sound. And what we're going to do right off the bat is set up the modulation of oscillator 1 pitch. And I'm going to set the tune amount up 3 octaves, so 36 semitones. And that will form the basis of the starting point, or the starting pitch. And then to have it sweep, I want to use a mod mixer, M-Mix1. And I need to use a mod mixer because I want 2 modulators modulating the tune parameter. So for mod 1, I'll set that to ENV2 and bring this const value down to 0 so that that's not adding anything to what ENV2 is modulating. And so now if we just increase M-Mix amount to 24, so that'll cause it to modulate over 2 octaves. And for envelope 2, we need to set velocity to 0. That will give us the same envelope behavior and amounts no matter what the velocity, note velocity is. So then to get it to sweep down to 0, we want to bring sustain all the way to 0, and then decay up to 100, and that will increase the amount of time it takes to go from its maximum value down to 36 semitones, well, down to the lowest pitch value in the range that it's going to sweep through. And we can watch this in the signal analyzer. Okay, and I'm going to change oscillator 1 waveform to a triangle wave. And this just helps smooth out the overall sound, makes it closer to a sine wave. Okay, so next I just want to fine-tune the envelope settings. So with envelope 1, I'm going to increase the attack to 27.5. Set the decay to 0 and sustain level to 100. And let's extend the release, setting that to 34.5. And now we hear it returning quickly to its low pitch value, so I want to increase the release on envelope 2. Set the release to 100. And we do want to set the velocity on envelope 1 to 0 as well. Okay, so that's sounding quite nice. Now let's change the timing of both envelopes to 4 bars. So now the pitch sweep will occur over a 4-bar duration. And so now that's going to be synced to whatever the tempo is in the project. Okay, so now it's time to set up LFO1. And what we want to do is add that as mod 2. And so right now, without making any changes to LFO1, it sounds like this. And I want to increase the rate, so I'll set that to 1/16 for the sync time. And instead of having a sine wave for the LFO shape, we're going to use a square low-high. So it's alternating between the two pitches as the envelope. So the envelope's taking care of the sweep, and then the LFO is being combined with that so that the sweep basically ends up sweeping across ever decreasing low and high pitch values. The last thing to do is try to smooth out the transition between the low and high alternating transitions by decreasing the amp value. And this is where some fine-tuning, this can take some time to fine-tune it, but I ended up settling on 24. I'll just start with 100 and drag it down and then stop at 24. Okay, so now that's the basic effect. Now we can make it a little more interesting by adding a delay. And we want to set sync 1 to 1/1. That's the longest sync time that we have to choose from. So 1/1. So that corresponds to 1 bar. To double that, to make it 2 bars, we'll increase the ratio setting to 200 for ratio 1. And then for sync 2, we're going to set that to 1/2. And then set ratio 2 to 112, just to give it a little bit of a not perfect delay setting. And then bring the mix up to 53.5, set the crossback to 39, and the feedback to 38.5. And now, with this delay effect configured, the patch sounds like this. And finally, we can add a reverb effect. And here we just want to set dry to 100 and wet to 29.5. And we can leave everything else as is. So now the final patch sounds like this. And that's the basic idea. Now, if we didn't have the envelope on there for modulating the tune, we were just using the LFO to modulate the tune, then it would sound like this. If I get rid of those effects, so it's just alternating back and forth between the pitches, but once we add that envelope, we get the sweep down effect as well, the combination of both those modulations for the final effect. So that's it. I'll see you in the next video.